valued viewers, I hope you are all doing very well. This video features the rather handsome and quite popular Hiawatha from the Milwaukee Road. Enjoy. The year is 1934 and the Milwaukee Road is very hungry for attention. The road's arch rival, the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, seem to be getting all of the publicity. The Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, and Pacific Railroad, otherwise known as the Milwaukee Road, entered the streamline operation by ordering 2 fully streamlined steam locomotives from the American Locomotive Company. To complement the new engines upon delivery from the builder, the Milwaukee Road was busy building new coaches at their own shops. The new cars would be all smooth and streamlined outside and totally redecorated inside by the famous Chicago Emporium, Marshall Field and Company. And of special note in the new equipment was the road's plans for a glamorous beaver tail observation car that the railroad hoped would compete against the well-publicized Zephyr. The new train was to be called Hiawatha, after the Fleet of Foot character in Longfellow's poem. And actually, the name Hiawatha was quite appropriate because the train's route would carry passengers through places named after characters in the poem, such as Minnehaha, Menominee, etc. And also, the name was further drawn out by giving the passenger cars names from the poem itself as well. And unlike the Burlington, Union Pacific, or the Boston and Maine, who all chose diesel power to haul their Pioneer streamliners, the Milwaukee Road chose steam for their streamline venture. It was felt that steam would provide the power and speed required for handling heavy, full-size coaches. Also, of course, standard steam power was less expensive than diesels, an important consideration under the circumstances. The Great Depression raging during the mid-30s had hit the Milwaukee Road very hard. In fact, the company had not been in a sound financial position prior to the crash. They had not declared a dividend to stockholders since 1917, and things got so bad in 1932 that the road lost more than $500,000. To combat the ravages of economic decline, the Milwaukee's management sought to attract passengers to their train by offering speed, comfort, and equipment designed for the modern idiom. So, in the spring of 1935, the first Hiawatha locomotive was completed at the American Locomotive Company facilities in Schenectady, New York. The official unveiling on April 30th was apparently a real bash, at least by mid-Depression standards. Publicity men playing up the Native American theme arranged the festivities. The engine crew dressed up in fancy Native American costumes to drive the Hiawatha through paper bunting. A brass band played loud martial tunes, and the wife of a Milwaukee executive read a poem that she had composed especially for the occasion. So Milwaukee Roads Hiawatha number 1 and number 2 that was forthcoming were based on the 442 Atlantic design, and as you might have guessed by now, they sported a new and different looking design. It had a distinctive shape and silhouette unlike any other steam locomotive and diesel streamliner. The Hiawatha's streamlined appearance was a remarkable innovation since it concealed beneath its metal jacket the normally conspicuous sandbox, feedwater heater, air pump, piping, and domes, etc. As a result, the new locomotive presented a sleek look that suggested speed even when it was motionless. Design consultant Otto Kohler paid particular attention to color on the Hiawatha, choosing brilliant bands of black, orange, and maroon to give it personality and style. A black roof extended from the recessed smokestack to the cab roof, and the sides of the boiler jacket above the running boards were light gray. Out in front, Kohler put a huge stainless steel wing emblem to symbolize the Milwaukee Road and suggest flight and speed. And inside the wings was a round red circle with the engine number, and midway on the boiler flanks, one could see the Hiawatha nameplates. By comparison, the Hiawatha locomotive was not unlike its rival, the pioneering diesel streamline locomotive, the Zephyr, both having shovel-shaped noses, similarly placed headlights, and air scoops. Since the first streamliners were either distillate or diesel-powered, it is not unusual that some of the first steam streamliners would try to imitate the diesel look. However, the Hiawatha was much taller than the Zephyr due to the covering up of the domes and other appendages on top of the conventional steam engine. Furthermore, the Hiawatha skirts were partly cut away to expose the driving wheels because Kohler felt this show would give the engine a feeling of power. As a result, the Hiawatha appeared rather top-heavy and never gave the impression of hugging the rails as did the contemporary diesel streamliners, which were built for the low center of gravity. Nevertheless, the Hiawatha had a boldness of character that suggested strength and power that was missing on the lightweight motor trains. A few days after its christening, The second Hiawatha unit was delivered to the Milwaukee Road, and the twin trains arrived in Chicago for a series of shakedown runs. The Burlington's Twin City Zephyrs had just begun regular service a couple of weeks before, scoping the Hiawatha's first run by a hair. As a result, a rivalry developed between the two roads competing for the same Minneapolis-St. Paul traffic. The Milwaukee Road, hoping to capture its share of publicity, arranged special speed trials to show the press and the public that the Hiawatha's standard steam power could equal or top the diesel-powered Zephyrs. American Locomotive Company engineers promised the Hiawatha locomotives would do 100 miles an hour or more and could reach 120 if necessary. So, on May 15, 1935, Hiawatha No. 2 set out on a round trip between Milwaukee and New Lisbon to determine just how fast and how comfortably she could perform. And at one point during the trip, she reached 112 miles an hour and the cars rode like a dream, and doing so without so much of a shake from the glassware in the dining car. And then after 2 weeks of building public goodwill, Hiawathas No. 1 and 2 were sent off to work on May 29, 1935. Each Hiawatha train, with a seating capacity of 313, consisted of a buffet lounge car, 3 coaches, a parlor car, and a beaver tail parlor observation car. And passengers took to the Hiawatha trains right off. 4,968 passengers rode during the first 11 days of operation. Traffic was so brisk, in fact, that the company added a 4th coach by mid-June and a 5th one in August to handle the demand for seats. The Burlington, whose articulated Zephyr trains did not lend themselves to expansion, were dismayed over the success of the Hiawatha trains. And it should be noted that it wasn't merely the flashy locomotives or the high speeds that attracted travelers to buy tickets on the Hiawathas. It was the comfort, the glamour inside, and the newly decorated coaches that attracted the attention of the public. Although the Hiawatha trains were pitted against what was probably the most rugged competition in the railroad industry, they received spectacular patronage and earnings. From their inauguration until the end of 1935, the trains carried 138,866 passengers. Consequently, in early 1936, the company announced that it was buying another new streamliner, which began service in 1936, called Hiawatha of 1937. And then the Milwaukee Road went on to order a 4th unit, which was called the Hiawatha of 1939. And these new Hiawathas were based on the 464 Hudson that was pioneered by the New York Central. These new Hudsons incorporated several new improvements over the original Hiawathas. 14 steel and aluminum alloys were used in car construction instead of the heavy carbon steel, and that reduced weight by 40%. Also, since the tap room had proved so popular on the original equipment, the bar was given an entire car of its own. In addition, 2 other cars were added to the consist, a 48-seat diner and an extra parlor car. The new beaver tail observation car received a larger glass area to improve visibility. Although the Hiawathas were never as prestigious as some other trains, such as the 20th Century Limited, they were well loved and legendary during the streamline era. The Hiawatha trains and the big Atlantic and Hudson-type locomotives that pulled them epitomized the streamlined steam age. The locomotives regularly and effortlessly reached 100 miles an hour in their runs. The shape of the Hiawatha locomotive was familiar to every schoolboy who yearned for a 10-plate lino reproduction of his very own. And the 464 Hudson-type Hiawatha went on to have 6 total units built. The first one built, number 100, was also the first withdrawn from service on November 10th of 1949, and the last one built, number 105, was the final one in service and was withdrawn on August 10th of 1951. None survived today, and the last one was scrapped in 1951. A total of 4 Class A 442 versions of the Hiawathas were built, and all of them were retired in 1949 through 1951 as well. And like the 464 Hudson version, none were saved, and all were scrapped. And with that, the following specifications apply to the Milwaukee Roads F7 Class 464 Hiawathas. The length of the locomotive was 100 feet even. The axle load was 72,250 pounds. The adhesive weight over the drivers was 216,000 pounds. The locomotive weight by itself was 415,000 pounds. The total weight with a tender was 791,000 pounds. The fuel type was coal. The fuel capacity was 50,000 pounds. The water capacity was 20,000 US gallons. The firebox grate area was 96.5 square feet. The boiler pressure was 300 psi. The heating surface was 4,166 square feet. The cylinders were 2 outside. Cylinder sizes were 23.5 inches by 30 inches. The main driver size were 84 inches, and the maximum speed of the locomotive was 120 miles an hour with a tractive effort of 50,294 pounds. And finally, a factor of adhesion at a solid 4.29. And I shall wrap up this video, and I shall thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed today's content, please hit the like button. And also, if you've not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, as both features help the channel grow immensely. And don't forget to support the channel if you care to with the super thanks. And also, if you don't care to do it that way, you can visit our print shop at Nickel Plate Limited on Etsy.com. Thank you very much.